This is Real Talk with Joel, Gatlin, and Hayden on the Wire OU Student Radio.
Good afternoon, Norman, University of Oklahoma, and the world. You are listening to Real Talk, and thank you for riding with us on our good radio spaceship. I'm here today in studio with my good friends Joel and Gatlin, and we've got a really exciting show lined up for y'all today. We're talking directors, we're talking news, we're talking movies, and we may even have a special guest calling in. But Joel, why don't you tell our good listeners out there what we got going on today?
So guys, welcome to Real Talk, and today we're talking about quite a bit of stuff, including an awesome new segment later in the show as well. We have some news out there. We have a guest joining us too, and it's our last show of the semester.
I'm sad.
And I'm sad too, yeah. It's been real. It's been real.
It has been real all semester.
It has been real.
Hopefully that's the final pun
So many
semester.
I don't think so. So many awesome guests and so many wonderful shows and segments we've had. So just basically some of my favorite things were obviously the trivia stuff. Hayden hasn't won one yet, but
we'll get him next time.
0-4, is that right?
Next year he'll come back.
0-5?
He'll come back swinging. That's for sure, right, Hayden?
I have nothing to say. I
So
literally have nothing to say.
You can always use your the voice to help you on trivia.
And we also can always remember that the Frozen 2 moment of Joel.
Let's talk about that.
Moment on the air.
Okay, we don't have to.
Joel is the Brian Williams of Real Talk, everybody.
Oh, you are Brian Williams, Real Talk edition.
Oh, I don't like that.
I'm sorry,
honor.
Joel.
I don't
We're
like
just
that
messing
honor,
with you.
man. I don't like that.
It's all right. We usually don't report false news, but when it happens, we usually
Well,
correct it
And
within the
even,
next
to be
5
fair,
minutes.
most of them are rumors.
Well,
and
let's-
I say they're rumors.
Let's say
yeah.
something. Gatlin and Hayden don't usually report false news. Joel, on the other hand,
They're not false. They're rumors. They're rumors. So you can't go wrong with rumors.
so instead of the news segment today, guys, we're going to be having the rumor segment. Everything is subject to and probably will change.
I usually put them down as confirmed or rumor on my schedule. So I try to avoid that. But for Frozen, I guess I put it as confirmed. Oh well, I make mistakes.
You
I'm
jumped the
human.
gun.
I'm a
We're all
human.
humans. We all make mistakes.
We're all humans.
That's okay, Brian. That is okay.
But before we move on to anything movies related, we have a lot of other things to talk about in the world today. It's pretty nice weather out there, right, Gatlin?
Oh, it is beautiful today. Today it is 73 right now in Norman, guys.
Oh, it's
I mean, we walked over to Qdoba. It was
Oh, my
delicious,
goodness.
as always. The pre-show meeting, and it looks like throughout the rest of the week we'll have some nice weather. It's going to be mainly high 70s, low 80s.
Okay, here's the
rest
real
of the week.
question. What's the weekend looking like?
The weekend is mainly in the 80s.
Hey, that's what I'm
That's
talking
a
about.
high for the 80s. But Sunday we have a chance for 20% chance of storms.
That's okay. I'll be in Texas.
I'll take the 20% chances.
After last 2 weeks,
storms.
yeah.
I got a quick story for y'all. This weekend I went to the Mavericks game down in Dallas, and
Boo
well, you know,
for me.
hey, I grew up a Mavericks fan, so I gotta
didn't
have a
know
little
that.
slack. I did. I love Dirk. I love Dirk. But I went down there and leaving the game, and I've hardly ever driven through storms like I drove through that night. It was absolutely some of the worst weather I've ever driven in. But it seems like every time I go down to Texas, either snows, it rains.
Tornadoes hardly
I know.
hardly hit Texas.
They followed me down to Texas.
Usually it's north Texas or right in the southern tip of Oklahoma. You know, and that's where they start usually. And they just come up afterwards.
Tornadoes. Everybody stay safe out there. But I will also say this: that nice weather's going to be nice after this long week of finals.
Speaking of some crazy weather, Hayden, there's been some crazy weather recently in the global world out there, hasn't there?
Yes. You know, we've got the earthquake in Nepal,
Yeah.
and some other news going on. Obviously the riots in Baltimore.
I was watching those like almost all Monday night, looking at the updates. You know, all the meetings with the policemen and the mayor as well. And a lot of people have spoken out about it too. Even not just officials, but like athletes, celebrities have also spoken out. I heard Ray Lewis is not going for ESPN to analyze the NFL draft this week, and he said he's staying in Baltimore.
Yeah, it's
That's
interesting.
crazy.
And I mean, even in Ferguson, I guess last night there were 2 people shot. They don't know who did it. It was officials believe it was people actually in the crowd in Ferguson. So just a lot of tough stuff going on
And
worldwide.
did you hear about the game that's playing tonight? And
The Orioles.
Did they
Orioles
cancel
game.
it?
First game
No,
in Major
they're-
League Baseball history did not have any any fans
Yeah, it's going to be closed
It's a
off
closed game.
from the public. It's so weird.
in the 160
Wow.
some years of Major League Baseball.
It's weird. It's definitely a weird time for a lot of things, and it's unfortunate what happened in Baltimore with a lot of people, not just citizens, but also police just doing their job as well, getting hurt in the process. Can't imagine the environment over there right now. We've never had a riot that big, to be honest, anywhere near this area as long as I've been alive, to be sure. And I can't imagine being in that sort of environment. So, just a lot of different news out there, and
But on a lighter note,
Yeah,
we
on
do
a
have
lighter
some
note.
movie news
on a
out
little
there.
later note, we have more movie news that are coming up as well. Before we get on to that, we will introduce our guest. But this cool bit of information that I just got a couple of days ago, it was apparently some fans of Star Wars. They decided to do something a little extra and
This is
something
like
a
the
little
cool,
nerdy.
This is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, it is really cool. They decided to build an X-wing. Like, I don't know if it's like the size like it was in the movies. I don't think they got the measurements right, but I don't care. They sent an X-wing into space.
That's unbelievable. And here's the deal: like size and space, it doesn't really matter. It's all kind of relative. It's all floating around in a black.
Yeah, it's not really
bathtub, so-
flying, but they're letting it's like a balloon, man. You just let that thing fly in the air, and they left a special message for J.J. Abrams.
What's the message?
They want their tickets to Star Wars already. That's simply what they want.
See, I would have gone bolder. I would have asked like, "Hey, I want to play Luke Skywalker's son in the next
Hey,
Star
I would
Wars."
be like, can I visit Skywalker Ranch? I want to see everything you got over there. It's like Area 51 for movies. Seriously. Like, no one's allowed in there unless
Oh,
you're
yeah.
a big-time producer, director,
or an alien.
or George Lucas, pretty much.
You've seen fanboys.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they broke in somehow, but it was pretty high tech security, and they got caught.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Star Wars is awesome and all, but I wouldn't break in.
I'm not advocating illegal activity, but this summer, y'all, what would y'all say to making a trip to the ranch and trying to sneak in?
I'm down.
I'm down.
What would our roles in the break-in be? I mean, like somebody's got to be like, we got to do like ocean stuff. Somebody's got to be, George Clooney. Somebody's got to be like our explosives.
Well, you're kind of wiry, so you're gonna be like our guy that's gonna come fly down from the rafters and stuff. We're gonna use you to be that guy. Joel's the tech guy. He's definitely behind the scenes.
I'll definitely look behind the scenes of what's going on because I'm always making schedules of things, including our show as well. So
Joel,
I can schedule out this real invasion.
I think
Skywalker Ranch.
Gatlin would probably be the Brad Pitt because he's probably the best looking out of the three of us. So there's that. But we are keeping it wiry here on the wire.
That is true.
You see, you say you wanted me to stop the puns, but you just made
That
it
was
pun
just
yourself.
too. It was too
Good.
tempting. Too
It's
tempting.
Too good. But hey, guys, we also have a special guest here with us today. He has his own wire show as well. His name is Chris McIntosh, and I would firstly want to be the one that's clapping. So, welcome to Real Talk.
Chris.
How's it going, guys?
And I think Gatlin told me you go by a nickname. I can't remember what the nickname was. Oz, yeah.
No?
Not a nickname. It's just like a middle name.
A middle name. Okay, so it's Oz, right?
Mhm.
Named after the Wizard of Oz.
Sort of. I just needed something to distinguish myself from the other Chris McIntoshes out there. Three other film. There's like three other people on IMDb with the name. There's a guy in jail. There's a baseball player. There's a writer, and so I didn't want to be any of those guys.
You're Oz. You're just simply Oz.
I'm the Chris McIntosh who hasn't been to jail and who doesn't play baseball.
Yeah, that's me. And so I wanted something memorable. So Chris Oz McIntosh.
Well, Chris, I was gonna ask you, kind of let us know like what you talk about in your show.
My show is not that a whole lot different from your guys's. Movie talk is what it is. Movie entertainment. One thing I'm proud of though in Red Carpet Rock was I tried to always spend a lot of time not just talking about the big budget stuff that we've all seen, but also seeking out things that maybe people haven't seen.
Right.
Stuff that like $0 was spent on basically, and still is like a fantastic movie that nobody knows about that people
Or
should
things,
check out.
yeah, or things that I started small from like humble beginnings have made so much money. Like
I don't know if you've heard of it, but the Babadook,
Mhm.
Babadook. Yeah, that started off a Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they paid for everything. You know, the fans, the people who donated money paid for everything in that movie. And that's something special to see because you never imagine nowadays a movie being made from the internet pretty much. It's crazy.
Exactly. Babadook's a great example of something that started off as nothing. And
Exactly.
it's a huge horror movie now.
And guys, I want you to know, as of right now, Joel Gatlin and I are salary free. We are doing this on a volunteer basis. And so this summer we will actually be starting a Kickstarter campaign to start our salary. So go fund me.
Yeah, go fund Real Talk.
Go fund a Real Talk.
We'll no longer be associated with
With the University of Oklahoma.
University of Oklahoma. So
That's a bold statement, Hayden. It's a bold statement. But
okay, this is false.
Chris,
Disclaimer: this is not real.
real. But Chris, let me ask you about this Star Wars thing.
All right.
You a fan of Star Wars?
Yeah,
or
definitely.
how big of a fan are you? Because we've had some pretty crazy fans here, including right now. There's some fans right here.
I'm not. I wouldn't call
Yeah.
myself a mega fan, but I enjoy all the Star Wars movies. I've been raised on them.
What do you think about fans going to this extent just to get J.J. Abrams' attention? Sending an X-wing into space. That's crazy, man.
At this point, it doesn't surprise me.
That's true.
But I mean, if you're a fan and you've got the means to do that, why not?
Exactly.
Why
Make
not build an
headlines, man.
X-wing? I mean,
Make a bold statement that you are the biggest Star Wars fan on the planet, which they aren't. I am. So
where are you going to build an X-wing?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Or are you doing?
what do you
a
think?
Death
What do you
Star?
think? What do you think our Kickstarter's for, man?
Oh, there you go. There
Well,
you
but
go.
here's the deal: we're actually going to be inside the X-wing when it takes off and goes into space.
That'd be interesting.
I'm excited, guys, because I've always wanted to go to space, and now that I don't have to be an astronaut to do it, I can just be,
Just chill out, man.
It's a
Just chill out.
trap.
it's a trap.
It's a frap.
Guys, we got a special segment coming up right now. Joel, you got somebody calling in?
Yeah, I got a phone call in, and let me introduce him for a bit, and we'll ask him a couple questions about our show. Welcome to Real Talk. You're live on right now.
Awesome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Who is this call-in?
This is Lynn Franklin.
Lynn Franklin. All right. Welcome to Real Talk, and here we talk about a lot of movies out there, and today we have a special segment where we're talking about directors. Do you have a specific director out there that you enjoys the most content out of, or is there a balance with different directors?
Well, I've got a few that are kind of uppermost in my constellation, if you will. Of course, Lucas and Spielberg are in there, but J.J. Abrams of late has been, pretty much the person who's got a lot of focus, got a lot of attention, got a lot of energy out there. And then if you want to go classical, it's Hitchcock.
Yeah, Hitchcock's got a lot of things. Is there a specific film you like from his movies?
Hitchcock?
Yeah, is there a specific movie you liked from him, or?
Well, The Birds is
That's a classic.
probably one of the all-time greats, and then The Man Who Knew Too Much is another one, and there's a little film called Rope.
Rope?
I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of that either. Can you explain that a little bit for us?
Yeah, I believe this is the film where it's basically a set piece where you have I think only two rooms really that are part of the entire motion picture, and one of the other things that's significant about this film is that they put these humongous loads of film in the camera and tried to do it in as few cuts as possible, meaning that everybody knew their lines, everybody knew their blocking, and it was turn on the camera, action, and go for as long as there's film in the camera. And if you watch the film really close, you can see where they had to stop, and do the cut. But it's really sophisticated in the context of filmmaking because it's very few takes, and it's only dependent. The take is only dependent on how much film is in the camera.
Lynn, this is Hayden. I have a question. Have you ever seen Rear Window? I mean, I know it's probably a dumb question, but
Oh yeah, that's a favorite as well, and so is North by Northwest.
I tell you, I remember I watched Rear Window right before I had my wisdom teeth out, and I loved it. I loved it. I
funny
think
way.
it made me, have some trippy dreams while I was out on the whatever that is.
Was it the movie or was it the pain meds?
I'm not sure. I think
Were
I
you
think it was
staring at
a
your
li-
window too?
I think it was a little Hitchcock, a little narcotics, all kind of wrapped into one.
Were you staring at your window like Stewart did?
I was, but when you talk about that, Lynn, it made me think of Rear Window and that, kind of a different style that Hitchcock is going there for.
Right.
And that's what I love is that it seems to me that he kind of would kind of try to break out of the shell and do some different things.
Yeah, he's
Right.
got a very unique look to his movies. And is there any other movies out there today, or any directors out there that have like a style that you specifically like?
Well, the people that come to mind that are kind of I don't know that avant-garde would be an appropriate way to label them, but the Coen brothers
Oh yeah.
are significant contributors to cinema in America, and I think one of the first films that I ever watched that they were involved in is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh, that's a good one.
And that's a film that was kind of oddball, in one respect, but in another respect it was very engaging.
Lynn, this is Gatlin Didier here on Real Talk on the Wire, your student radio. I just want to ask you, just said the Coen brothers. Have you seen their most recent movie, Inside Llewellyn Davis?
I have not. I'm curious about that. I think the last Coen brother film that I saw was True Grit.
I'll tell you right now, I love True Grit. I mean, I'm a John Wayne fan, so I love the original. But the Inside Llewellyn Davis, I highly recommend you go watch it. It is a Coen Brothers to the core movie. It is phenomenal. The soundtrack's phenomenal. Oscar Isaac's a lead actor in that movie.
Oh,
He
yeah.
does a phenomenal job. He's starting to come up into the acting world. So if you love them, I just would recommend checking out that movie.
Okay.
That's a good choice. Obviously, he's going to be in Star Wars, and he's also going to be in X-Men.
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac.
And
so.
Ex Machina just came out, and I heard
Exactly.
he's
it's
excellent in that.
crazy. He's getting a lot of attention from that movie. But speaking back to directors, though, you said that one of your favorites was the Coen brothers. Do you consider, let's say, what's his name? Man, I forgot his name. But
Give us some questions here, Joel. Maybe we can figure it out. Give us some hints.
The guy who directed Django Unchained.
Two words?
Quentin Tarantino. Yeah, what do you think of Quentin Tarantino's style?
I don't know. I think for me, Tarantino is a little bit much in your face, and the approach to not only storytelling and filmmaking that Tarantino takes, I think is at least from my perspective a little bit over the top. The fact that he has done things like Kill Bill, and things like that. Those are kind of outside my taste framework, if you will, and I think that would be maybe the best characterization that I could have for Tarantino.
Lynn, yeah, I really agree with you. I'm not a huge Tarantino fan. I don't have anything wrong. I don't have any problem with stylized films, but I do like films that tend to be more realistic and not be so in your face, like you said.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely has a
right
different
there with
style.
y'all. But I'm a Tarantino fan because my dad always showed me those films growing up. That's sad to say, but yeah, I saw those growing
that's
up.
unfortunate.
But I enjoy him. I enjoy movies because I just think they're kind of humorous, but also have a nice narrative side to them. But Lynn, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us here on Real Talk.
Yeah.
Hopefully it was a good call. There's definitely a lot to look forward to. But when we come back, guys, we'll have more from Real Talk. But until then, you're listening to The Wire.
Your student radio.
Your student radio. We're here to talk with our special guest today. Why don't you introduce yourself to the wonderful world of Real Talk?
What's up? I'm Chris Oz McIntosh. I like movies. I make movies.
Who doesn't like movies?
And Chris
Or
has
watch
never
movies?
been to prison or been a professional baseball player.
No, I'm not that Chris McIntosh. I'm a different one. I'm a better one.
All right, we usually do is throw off some questions for you on air, some rapid fire questions for you. But today, I'm gonna let Hayden take away with the questions. Hayden, are you prepped?
Yeah. I mean, and we're throwing a little curveball here with me asking the questions. I hope our radio world will be okay with that. We're last show throwing up our order here.
We're gonna mix it up today.
We're trying.
Hey, I'll get in there and
This
ask
thing,
some questions.
You know, scared money don't make money. So we
Scared money
mix
don't
it up.
make
We keep
money.
it real.
we keep it real. That's for sure.
Okay, Chris. First question out of the gate. 2014. What was your favorite film of last year?
Off the top of my head, a movie I really enjoyed that not a lot of people talked about too much was The Equalizer. Did you guys see that one?
Oh, I heard about that movie.
I like that movie a lot.
Denzel Washington, right?
Denzel Washington won.
It came out like last September, I think.
Yeah, it was like late last summer.
Like right before the Oscar movies came out.
Yeah, Denzel Washington plays a guy who just kind of meanders around town, works at a Home Depot, and he reads at this diner every night and runs into this teenager who is very clearly selling herself on the street at night. And when something strange happens to her, he basically takes it upon himself to kind of avenge the thing that happened to her.
Get it? Hayden, I'm not going to say anything.
It was a really good movie, and it reminds me of like Man on Fire, like those kind of, and I loved that movie when I was younger. So
again, I think we're seeing a trend here where these older actors who were mostly dramatic actors in their early career have now become kind of the action star of today. You've got Denzel Washington, you've got Liam Neeson. It's really interesting how that it's no longer the quintessential action hero of 2015 is no longer
the magic of CGI.
Exactly. It's no longer the 30-year-old buff guy.
When I think of Denzel, though, I don't think of action for some reason. Like that doesn't cross with me. Like for some reason, his action doesn't come off as an action film like a Liam Neeson or a Sylvester Stallone or any other Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. It comes off as like an actual. He actually has to do this action for a reason for his dramatic character to continue his.
It feels like a drama with action in it, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're getting very technical with all that.
He's just very intense actor. I feel. I mean, he's not an action star, but he's very intense as far as his performances.
But if you do look back at his past, a lot of his movies, he's either have a gun or he's
Glory.
Exactly. That was the most intense I've seen him in. So
I won't lie. The whole time I watched Glory, though, I could only think of the guy from The Princess Bride. Like he's in that film. That's
really?
All I could think of was the Princess Bride.
Carl Ewell.
Yeah, the British. Yeah. Matthew Broderick's in that as well, right?
All of those guys,
he was the general.
Morgan Freeman's in that.
That's a surprising cast too. I mean,
very young Denzel.
Matthew Broderick at that time was just at the peak of his career. So it's interesting.
Okay, Chris. So we got your favorite film of 2014. Is there a least favorite film of 2014?
That's a tough one because I try to avoid the movies that I think are going to be garbage. But I can say, ties into the action thing we're talking about. One of my least favorites that I walked out of the theater kind of disappointed was probably The Expendables 3.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm a huge fan of Stallone and Schwarzenegger and all these guys. Gatlin was name dropping a second ago. And they made it PG-13. And
that's
so
a bad move.
It wasn't, I like the over-the-top violence and stuff. And it wasn't there. And without that, the one-liners didn't support themselves. And
they didn't felt as much. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
and then they tried to bring in a younger cast, and that didn't. Every time they were on screen, nobody was interested. Everybody just wanted to get back to Stallone and
Schwarzenegger
and Statham and all those guys. So
now Mel Gibson was in that film as well, right?
He was fantastic. Yeah, he was he played the villain, and I would say he was one of actually the strongest points of Expendables 3 was definitely Mel Gibson.
I think that's the saddest thing with this whole Mel Gibson deal is that he's no longer in a lot of films anymore, and I think he's a great actor.
Yeah.
And he was in Machete 2. He's in that one.
Machete.
He's the antagonist.
Well, and they're gonna do a Machete Kills in Space.
Oh yeah.
I forgot. Just announced
Mel
that.
Gibson's especially in that.
They
one.
are? Wow.
They're doing Machete Kills
and
in
see
space.
at the end of Machete,
Robert Rodriguez, man,
I think the second Machete, they actually have a teaser for that, and you're like, there ain't no way they're gonna make that.
It's totally getting made.
They're making
Robert Rodriguez, man, he goes over the top.
Okay, the reason that they did that in Expendables 3 was because Bruce Willis had contract conflicts. They were having issues settling a contract, so they brought in Harrison Ford, Mel Gibson, all these other guys for that reason, right?
Basically, okay. Yeah. I think Bruce Willis's character was basically supposed to play Harrison Ford's role. Like he's the guy that calls him and says, "I got a job for you."
Yeah.
And he
at least it's not Star Wars.
He was. I think the deal was he wanted $1 million a day for 4 days.
Yeah, that was. I
believe
that's
paid
right.
$4 million to work 4 days, and they said,
"That's crazy."
No, we'll get Harrison Ford
for cheaper.
Did Harrison Ford have an earring?
Like I said,
film?
though,
I don't think he did.
And Wesley Snipes. I forgot about
Wesley Snipes too. And they made a joke about him just getting out of jail too.
Yeah.
Because he's
and the thing I'd like to joke about is Harrison Ford is always grumbling about Star Wars because I feel like he used to really hate it, but I think now he doesn't hate it as much, but he likes to joke for the fact that he hates it really bad because whenever he's being interviewed, people on purpose like ask him Star Wars questions, even though he doesn't want to answer.
Harrison Ford is the Leonard Nimoy of Star Wars.
Except he hates Star Wars. He doesn't love Star Wars as much as Leonard Nimoy loves Star Trek.
He does deep down. He does not hate Star Wars.
That's,
you know why? Because Star Wars made him who he
money,
is.
money.
That's true. That's true. But I don't know. American Graffiti, he was pretty good into. But
he was only in it for like 10 minutes.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, Chris.
Call me.
So we've done favorite film of 2014 and the least favorite film of 2014. Now looking ahead, what's your most anticipated film for this year?
Oh man, I'm looking forward to that movie coming out this week, whatever it is.
Are you going?
Age of the Guy. Not like tonight or tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, yeah.
No, there's no way. I don't have time. But that's gonna happen soon. I'm looking forward to that. I was looking forward to Furious 7. That's already out.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that. I'm sure there's more, but
there's that one movie coming out in December. I just
can't
pin my finger
one movie
on
about the
it.
guys in space.
Yeah, it's got this like walking carpet thing.
Oh yeah, it's not the Machete one. It's not Machete Kills in Space. It's a different space movie.
It gets me a little. It's just a little interested.
This is one film. Okay, Star Wars. I can talk about Star Wars every.
We had
segment.
a Star Wars episode last week, guys. Let's keep it short.
Okay, wrap that up. Okay, so Chris, I know you said that you've already seen Furious 7. What's the best film that you've seen this year?
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you guys about a movie you haven't seen.
Okay.
And this ties back to Red Carpet Rock. I was telling you I like to talk about stuff people haven't seen necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a movie called Coherence on Amazon Prime. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I haven't watched
Holy
it.
crap, that's awesome you even know about it.
Gatlin is lighting up in the studio right now.
So basically, there's
smiling.
There's like very little money spent on this thing. The actors in it, I didn't recognize anybody except one of the guys is from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Otherwise, I didn't know anybody else. And it's basically about these 8 friends, like in their 30s, come to this dinner party on this night where this comet is passing overhead, and weird stuff starts happening. Like people's watches break, and all the power in the neighborhood goes out except at this house, like this one house that they can see off in the distance. And so they decide to like try to figure out what's going on, why this one house has power, nobody else does, and things get really science fiction-y and trippy, and you start questioning who is real and what's happening and where you are, and the movie is really weird because another thing about it was like mostly improvised. Like the director said, here's a scene and here's what I need to happen in the scene, but I want you guys to get there.
Yeah.
And so all the dialogue is like super overlappy, like kind of like a radio show is.
Yeah.
Like everybody's sort of talking at once, and people are like coming up with new ideas, like on this, like the conversation's constantly changing, and so it's a really strange experience watching it because you don't feel like you're watching a movie, you kind of feel like you're at this party, and that sort of pulls you into
the environment,
the mind-boggling environment that I don't want to spoil. But Coherence is one of my favorite movies I've seen, probably the favorite movie I've watched this year.
Now that is one film I would love to direct. You guys just do whatever. I'm just gonna stand here.
Yeah.
Well,
Let me,
I saw that trailer
Yeah.
on IMDb. I like to watch all the indie trailers, and I saw it. I don't know how many months ago, and I was like, "That looks like it's gonna be a really good movie." And I never saw never saw anything else after that.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even know it was on Amazon Prime. I have to watch that tonight if
yeah.
I have some time. I'm gonna,
Please do, and tell me what you think.
Okay.
Yeah. So typically on the show, what we'd like to do is kind of showcase, or kind of like talk about what our guests have planned. Like the last couple of weeks, we've had short films and guys with projects and everything. So we want to talk to you about any projects you're doing out there as well. We know you have a radio show, but you have a project you're working on as well, right?
Yeah.
It's a short film, correct?
It's a short film. I started writing it in January. We shot it over the course of a couple of weekends in March and April. It's called Movie Magic. It's about 15 minutes long, which is the longest thing I've ever done. And I've also put more heart and soul and time and money into this than I've ever put into anything before.
Right.
Basically, the log line is an 11-year-old boy receives a visit from his fairy godfather and discovers that he's destined to take the prettiest girl at school to the movies.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, so it's a Cinderfella type story.
Fella.
And Len mentioned earlier Steven Spielberg is one of his favorite directors. He's one of mine too. And a lot of the movie draws on basically what the movie is my childhood and all of my favorite movies. put into a 15-minute
Movie magic, man. It's
Movie magic. That's exactly
Simply
what it
it
is.
takes for. And is there a trailer out there, or have you started on the project yet?
Oh, the project is totally shot.
Okay.
I've got a rough cut done, and basically most of what's left is color correction and some audio tweaking. And there's not a trailer, but it's on Facebook. Official Movie Magic is the Facebook, facebook.com/official movie magic.
And you can check that out on our Facebook page too. We're going to share the official page of the movie too, so you can go check out what's going on with
you got
that
to
project.
use a model of the
This is a
DeLorean.
cool story.
Yeah, this is a really cool
in
Yes.
Back to the Future. Tell the listeners how you got to even do that.
Okay, so here's the deal. So my favorite movie of all time is Back to the Future. And when people say, oh, is it the first one, second one, third one? To me, they're all basically the same. Like, the Back to the Future trilogy is just my favorite movie series, movie trilogy of all time. And so I love Huey Lewis and the News. You know, Power of Love is a big song from Back to the Future. And so anyway, 4 years ago, I was going to this Huey Lewis and the News concert. And by the way, I've been a fan of Back to the Future since I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I used to, like, read about... I've been an internet geek since... forever, and since the internet was a thing.
Since we've been able to use the internet.
Exactly, since we've been able to use the internet. And so I've always been on backtothefuture.com, like always on Back to the Future fan sites, blogs, things like that. Since I was a kid, I go to this Huey Lewis concert in 2011, and I'm first in line because I'm a geek like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we walk into the venue, and this Back to the Future DeLorean is sitting in the back of the room.
Wow.
Doors open, you know, all these blue light, you know, all the lights, flux capacitor,
Felt like Marty McFly.
Mr. Fusion. I felt exactly like Marty McFly
when he first saw it.
when he first saw it, and it's amazing. It's amazing looking. And so I go back there, and there's a couple guys kind of standing around, and I'm like, oh man, this is a cool car, and I wonder whose it is. And the guy I'm standing next to goes, oh, it's mine. I'm like, oh, cool. And we start talking and discover we both have a mutual love for Back to the Future. And I discover that he's this guy, you know, he says his name is Gary Weaver. And I've actually heard of this guy before. He ran a website that I'd frequented called BTTFparts.com.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it was dedicated to his rebuilding of this DeLorean and helping other people to do the same thing. It was basically documenting his journey rebuilding Doc Brown's DeLorean.
Awesome.
And I said, you're Gary Weaver? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, why are you here? Where are you from? He's like, oh, I live in Norman. And I had no clue this guy lived in Oklahoma. I mean, he's nationally known by DeLorean Back to the Future enthusiasts.
And he's right here in our state.
He's right here in our state, right here in this town, like 5 miles over.
It's like in my backyard, pretty much. Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
He's building another DeLorean back there too.
Actually, yeah, he kind of is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
5 miles away, he kind of is. And so anyway, 4 years later, I message him and say, hey, you know, I don't know if you remember meeting me, but I've got this idea for a film, and I'd love your help on it. And by your help, I mean your car. And long story short, he liked the idea, and we shot with the DeLorean for a day.
Awesome.
And you right in Gaylord College, right?
Right in Gaylord College. It was on a Saturday we needed to shoot because scheduling is a crazy thing, especially because a lot of my actors are from different kind of towns in Oklahoma. People come a long way to be in the film, especially since I'm using child actors.
Yeah.
And
it's a tough thing to do.
That was a tough thing to do, but it's a great time. The kids are awesome. Raiden Alexander, Camille Columbus, Samuel Moran, they're all great kid actors. They're going to be huge one day, I think. Daryl Cox, who's a teacher here at OU, was in RoboCop, Perfect World, tons of great stuff.
Awesome.
He's my acting coach.
Yeah, he's a really great teacher, too.
He is.
He's a really great teacher. And anyway, we needed it on Saturday, but the door in Gaylord Hall, the big garage door behind Studio D, is a little small, and there's kind of a weird like corner there.
Oh yeah,
where like a car is not really going to go through there perfectly. And so I coordinated with Gary, and we went out Friday night to see if it would go in. And I mean, literally like an 11-point turn is when this manual transmission DeLorean. We finally got it into Studio D Friday night, and he goes, "How about I just leave it here overnight?" Which nobody else knows that, and I don't know how much trouble I can get in for saying that. But he goes, how about I just leave it here overnight?
It's a DeLorean, man.
And I'm going, yeah, it's okay with me if it's okay with you. He goes, yeah, I'll just leave it here overnight. I'm like, okay, great. And so his wife comes and picks him. Him and his daughter came together in the car, and I'm left there in Studio D with Doug Wilson with Doc Brown's DeLorean for however long I want to be left there. So we just sat around and touched the car for 2 hours.
And the things you all did will never probably be spoken, never leave Studio D, what you and Doug actually did in there with
Never.
that DeLorean.
Never.
And there was a green screen, so who knows how crazy you guys got.
Who knows? Who knows? Maybe it'll be a bonus feature on the DVD or something.
That'd be awesome.
Blooper reel.
Yeah, actually, there is a blooper reel.
Oh, I'm
That's
excited.
good.
I'm excited just to check it out.
I'm excited to see this movie, man. You got me excited for it, but we'll definitely share your stuff.
I got
on
one
there.
quick question before we go break.
Go for it.
Huey Lewis and the News concert, was that in El Reno, Oklahoma at Lucky Star Casino?
That's where it was. Were you there?
I had tickets to it, and then I had another thing come up, and I didn't get to go, and I was super upset because I love Huey Lewis and the News.
Well, you missed Huey Lewis and you missed a DeLorean.
I know we have some movie news to talk about here, Joel. What do we got
you
going on today?
interrupted me, Hayden. You can't do that. All right, movie news, guys. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. Mainly the stuff, like I said earlier, is about future projects out there, but most of them are also superhero stuff. So let's go ahead and get started with some of this stuff. We're starting off with our favorite web slinger. Apparently, Spider-Man, the front runner, is rumored to be
Hedging.
Asa Butterfield from Ender's Game.
Asa Butterfield from Ender's Game is getting considered to be Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Guys,
I'm
I'm not even
I'm
a
gonna let you guys
Spider-Man.
talk
I'm
about
not
it.
even a Spider-Man fan, and I'm already mad about this.
Why did we get rid of
Go.
Andrew Garfield? That's all I'm saying. That's all I got to say.
Okay, do
Asa
you guys want
Butterfield-
to give me your opinions first? And
No.
then-
Here's my
I'm ha-
opinion.
no.
Here's my opinion.
Go
Asa
ahead.
Butterfield is a child.
Yes.
He is a boy.
Yes.
Mhm.
You know, I know Spider-Man's supposed to be almost a boy, but going into his
He's a real boy.
manhood, Asa Butterfield, I don't even know if the kid, can grow any facial hair at all. I don't even know.
I couldn't grow facial hair when I was 14. I tried.
I'm just saying, why would I know what they're trying to do? But the thing is, movie 14 is totally different than real life 14. This has been going on since the 50s.
And here's the deal. Here's the deal. I wonder if they can sign him to a cheaper contract because he's younger. Get him on a cheaper contract, get him for 3 or 4 films, and boom, they've made some.
But
Boom,
then you
clap.
got those, like we talked about earlier, and Joel, they'll work their way around it. But child labor laws, the kids under 18, they usually don't like to hire kids, the ones like that that are under 18, because of that. They have to work around scheduling with that. And you know how these superhero movies are; they like
Very
to push
stressed.
those out.
Yeah.
I wonder if Ben Affleck could be Spider-Man. Like I'd be okay with that at this point.
But here's the thing, though.
You're destroying
yeah.
Spider-Man anyway. So why not? Why
But
not?
yeah, before I get into my opinion about this, again, it's a rumor. It's not true yet.
Hedging.
It's not official
Brian
yet.
Williams is hedging.
It's
here
not
on Real
official
Talk.
yet, so guys, you
So-
can save your rage until it's
Okay.
officially announced.
All right.
But for me, I think this is a solid casting because, like you said, he's 14. He's very young. But Marvel, what they're trying to do is not only build a new Spider-Man universe, but basically create a Spider-Man actor. Like when we look at a certain actor, we see him as one thing, portrayal. Like when we see Michael Keaton, we think Batman, right? We think Batman in that series. But with this franchise, they're trying to make him into that new sort of the new person to look forward to in the future for Marvel. Like right now, he's not the spotlight right now. It's obviously still Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, but they're just saving him for the future.
I just don't like it. I don't like it when actors get cast when they're really young because you don't know how they're going to change when they get older. You know what I'm saying? Like I just feel like it's a big gamble, and Spider-Man.
Harry Potter.
But that's a good point. That is a good point. But I just don't think Spider-Man should be 14 years old. That's all I got. That's all I got to say.
What about Harry Potter? He should have been 20? I don't know.
No. But like I think
They were younger.
if the role demands it, I think you definitely go for it. But I don't think it's necessary in this case.
I feel like in my opinion though, the Harry Potter one was a lot more stressful because they released a movie almost every year or almost every 2 years.
Oh yeah, and those kids, those kids, we grew up with the kids that were on those
Exactly, yeah.
movies. We're not growing up with Asa Butterfield. We're getting thrown into halfway.
You really don't start growing up till you're like
those puberty
15 though.
years.
So
Joel quotes.
yeah,
Joel didn't grow up till he was about 15.
No, I didn't really.
Let's be honest.
Pretty much every girl was taller than me when I was 15. But then when I hit that 17 mark, it started to fly past a couple of them. Then they got taller too, and then, well, here we are.
Joel
But-
has some very tall female friends.
Let's move on to some other news right now, guys. We got a first look at Nightcrawler for X-Men Apocalypse. I don't know if you guys can see it right now on your papers, on your schedules, but viewers, you can also go look it up. Nightcrawler X-Men Apocalypse out there too. Here's a picture of it. What do you guys think about
I'm just gonna say I was very confused when the other film named Nightcrawler came out because I was like, wait, Jake Gyllenhaal is gonna be in the Marvel universe. I could see it. I was like, okay, it's cool.
I think they should get Jake Gyllenhaal to play this Nightcrawler.
That would be on IMDb. You know how cool that would be. Like, I am like the reference is like for the movie by the same title with the same actor but made at a different time. See this link. I don't know.
It's just like all the Wolverine movies. So they don't really make sense together, but you know what? They were there.
Exactly.
We can't ignore that.
Hey, you know what? Maybe they could cast Asa Butterfield for Nightcrawler too. They can just, hey, you know what? Child cast for all these films. We'll just have a kids movie. It'll just be all kids superheroes. Let's do that.
You ever seen those kids movies? They make fun of the Oscars each year. They always they do a quick trailer and have kids play each movie on YouTube.
No, I do like
It's
that.
just like that, and it's pretty funny to watch a little kid dress up as your Boyhood, and you have his mom coming in. It makes no sense.
Okay.
No, I don't, nothing. I got nothing.
Or like Interstellar.
Remember, guys, this stuff's for the future, so I'm not quick to judge until I see it. Like, I remember watching the first.
Oh, I'm very quick to judge.
When I saw the first picture for Quicksilver, I don't know if you guys remember Quicksilver, not for the Avengers, but for X-Men. I thought it was the stupidest thing ever. And when I saw that Burger King ad, I was like,
about for Fantastic Four?
No, Quicksilver.
Quicksilver.
For X-Men Days of Future Past, played by Evan Peters. He just looked really. I didn't like his suit at all. I didn't think it was great, and the Burger King ad didn't help either. But when I saw him in the movie, totally proved me wrong. Totally proved me wrong.
I love his character. I love how he did it too.
And he's also played by Aaron Taylor Johnson in The Avengers.
Yeah,
Hayden, sorry, but he's in 2 universes and everything.
Segment.
But like I said, with Nightcrawler, we can see one thing and we can say another thing. But until we see the movie, I'm not going to be quick to judge. I just think it was a cool picture to look at. So let's move on to our next bit of news. Batman was found on set for Suicide Squad. Ben Affleck was seen walking into a trailer on set for Suicide Squad. Speculation that he might be showing a cameo in the movie, possibly. What do you guys think?
Well, Joel, for our listeners out there, because I didn't know what Suicide Squad was, could you explain to our listeners
a couple weeks ago,
what this film is?
Oh, okay. It's about a group of villains that are put together by the government to do basically secret op missions that they basically have no choice whether the government can either put them in jail for the rest of their life or kill them, or now instead they want to use them for missions like these, like dangerous missions like these. And so I think that this movie is going to be a special mission sent from all these villains going into Arkham Asylum.
The Joker is one of these bad guys, right?
Yeah, and the Joker's probably is one of the bad guys. Maybe the government's trying to get rid of the Joker secretly, and they're just saying the Suicide Squad. I don't know, but like I said, Ben Affleck's not a major part in the movie because this is a movie about the villains, sneaking into Arkham, trying to get infiltration and do the work that the government wants. But Batman making a cameo would be awesome. So I don't know what you guys would think, especially this is after Batman vs Superman. So it's very interesting to see if he makes a cameo.
I think it would be a cool way to integrate him into all the movies too, because you don't really see Batman do that.
No, you really don't.
I think it'd be pretty cool.
He's always been exclusive to his movies. And him integrating to other universes is very interesting because you're going to see how other people write Batman, how other people want to write his dialogue. Because the writer from Batman vs Superman is not going to be the same writer as Suicide Squad. So we're going to see differences as dialogue, interactions, and see how that blends. And I think that'll be very interesting. But let's go ahead and move on from DC over back to Marvel. We got Dave Bautista, actor who was Drax the Destroyer in Guardians of the Galaxy, said that he would love an Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy crossover. Hayden, I know you enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy a lot more than the first Avengers. Is that true?
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
I just don't like these. It's like when you watch a television show, like a sitcom or something, and they blend sitcoms for an episode, and no one really watches it for the comedic value or the quality of the story. They just watch it for the cameo, and I feel like that film would be literally a 2-hour cameo.
Yeah, that's very true. But I think with Marvel, they can really do no wrong at this point. Everybody loves Marvel. Everyone likes to praise them for
everything.
People
will pay,
and eventually they will hit their low point. If not, it's already been hit. I don't think so, but. Eventually they'll reach that low point. But until then, Marvel can get away with pretty much anything in movies. As far as content and doing projects themselves like Black Panther and all that stuff. And they can do whatever they want with it, really. The only things they can't touch, though, is X-Men. And so we move on to another rumor out there as well, possibly a new title for, like we talked about earlier with Spider-Man. There's a possible new title. It's a rumor again. The name is supposedly called...
Joel is hedging like none other this week.
Rumor.
These are a lot of rumors.
Rumor has it.
Rumor has it that the first standalone Spider-Man movie is going to be called Spider-Man: The New Avenger. Oh, sorry, I'm just putting some.
I like the title.
I think they should call it Asa Butterfield, the third Spider-Man.
And this
goes as Spider-Man.
And this goes exactly what I said earlier with Captain America. When the first movie came out, he was like the first Avenger, and now we get Spider-Man: The New Avenger. So I'm basically saying Spider-Man is the future of the Avengers, whether it's now, whether it's in the future. But as of right now, Marvel is throwing everything into Spider-Man as being the future. I think him and Black Panther are the two major pieces for the future of Marvel.
Well, and I'll be real with y'all. When I heard that Andrew Garfield had been cast as Spider-Man and they were rebooting it, I was actually kind of upset because, for me, you know, Tobey Maguire was Spider-Man. But like I said, I think Andrew Garfield did a much better job than Tobey Maguire, and I love what Tobey Maguire did. So, you know, with all the joking aside, Asa Butterfield may be able to do...
We'll see.
Yeah, he may be able to do a really good job.
If he does a horrible job, I'll be the first one that calls out on it.
I'll take him over Logan Lerman.
Okay. Well, that's fair. All right, guys, let's move on to our last bit of news.
Hey, wait, do you guys think I could be Spider-Man?
Hayden.
Yeah, you could do it.
Hayden,
I'll say
Peter Parker.
As your friend, Hayden, I'd say yes.
Oh, dude, you.
Yeah, I almost had you there.
You can talk about the Avengers like the whole show now. I don't even care.
All right, guys. So let's go back to DC again. We saw a picture of Jared Leto basically bulking up a bit for Suicide Squad again, playing the Joker. We saw a picture of him last week that debuted. Interesting picture. It looks really extreme, but on the picture that he took of himself, basically like a selfie, he's been building up for this movie. So there's a possible chance that he might be gearing up for a fight.
Like a buff Joker? Let me see this picture, Joel. Let me see how
Let me pull it up for you right now.
Like, he looks scary. He looks like the Joker that you saw in the cartoons, you know, the scary, thin-faced with a smile that's bigger than... Yeah, like
is he in like makeup and stuff and costume?
Oh, yeah.
An interesting thing, he's wearing a Superman shirt.
That's not the... I was talking about the look.
Yeah, that's last week, but this is a recent picture that he's bulked up for the movie.
Remember how skinny he got for Dallas Buyers Club?
And now he's bulked
phenomenal.
up for the
Is there a
movie.
picture of him in like a Joker thing?
Yeah, show him.
Yeah, I'll pull up
phenomenal.
that picture, but it's on his Twitter. But like him bulking up, though, let's talk about that a bit. Fighting, is he going to get into some skirmishes with Batman in Suicide Squad? I don't know, but... there's definitely a lot of potential if he's bulking up for a fight with somebody from the Suicide Squad. I think it'd be very interesting to see that. But let me just show you that picture really quick. I'm trying to pull it up, but he posts a lot of pictures. So, and it was about a week ago.
So he's a selfie addict.
He is a selfie addict, but he's in love with the role.
Gatlin, how many selfies have you taken in your life?
I think about probably 5.
5?
And they've all been for this show.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah, I don't take very much selfies either, but when I do take them, I prefer Hayden Hefner taking them.
Well, thanks, bro.
See the segue.
I like it. No, I like it. I probably, I don't know how many selfies I've taken. Probably like 400, 4 or 5. I mean, like if there's other people in the picture, does it count as a selfie or like self?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, selfie.
Okay, then probably a lot more than 5.
Well, here's the thing. I always pick good-looking people to take selfies with me so that people can get away from
Oh, so is that why we have selfies every week?
Hey,
that's why
Hayden's the one that volunteers himself. But here's the picture, Hayden. It's crazy.
Holy cow.
He's got so many tattoos on him.
Look at him.
But here's the thing, though. Those tattoos are just added for that picture. He's not going to actually have that many tattoos during the movie. And he's going to have a suit on. So just throw away the tattoos. Just basically his eye makeup, his hair. He looks nuts. He looks crazy.
I saw one on Zergnet, a different one than that.
And it reminds me of the Killing Joke. The Killing Joke, the picture from the comics, like right here.
That's
See?
kind of scary.
See right there? There's a comparison of him and the Killing Joke Jokers, and I think he's gonna dive into that kind of Joker portrayal. So it should be very interesting to see where they go with him. He looks crazed out.
Villains that are too dark scare me. I like villains that are just kind of evil.
It's the Joker, though. It's the Joker, man. He's nuts.
Yeah, the Joker is the one that won bad. Well, I mean, there's a lot of the bad guys for Batman. They can all go a dark place, but the Joker, ever since Heath Ledger did what he did with it, you can go to the darkest places.
And I
feel like he's gonna do a nice mixture of Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger.
Yeah, and I think his main thing is his pizzazz. He's gonna show off his craziness and his pizzazz. Whereas Heath Ledger's kind of like cool, collective crazy guy.
Who was the 1960s Joker?
Oh, I can't remember. his name.
Lorenzo. No.
Oh yeah, it starts with an L.
Lorenzo, I think. No,
Um,
I'm on
was-
it.
You're on it.
I know he
but
of Latin American origin. He did. I mean, he did a cool. I actually really liked his Joker. I thought that was. He looked
Burgess
a lot like-
Meredith was the Penguin. I always remember that. The Rocky, the trainer from Rocky was Penguin.
Was he really?
Yes. He
The
was.
voice makes so much. Holy
the
cow,
voice.
dude!
The voice.
Now it all make it all makes sense.
It all
now.
makes sense now.
We are the Avengers of radio. Guys, this is one of my favorite segments of the day. We didn't get to talk about it earlier. We had a different kind of format going earlier today.
And we didn't
used
talk
to-
about last week either.
We didn't talk about last week, and we had been previously doing a kind of game with it. But Hayden, give us the box office results.
back.
from this
We have
past
some.
week.
We have some new faces on this list. And,
It's been
and
2
Gavin,
weeks.
I think it's time to reinstitute the box office quiz. That's what I think it's time for.
I'm down.
Are you down?
I'm down.
Okay.
Alan's ready for this.
Okay. So number one, I'll go ahead. You can lay up that one.
You sure? I mean, I don't know. It could have been,
Unfriended.
Furious 7.
Oh,
Furious,
not
Furious 7. Furious 7. How much do you think it made? Just out the.
For this week, I'm gonna say it made 18.
Dude, that is 17.8. I mean, that's it.
Oh, wow.
That's with it. That's,
Oh wow.
That's big time. That's
That's
big. Okay,
close.
so I'm gonna give you the next four. Number one was obvious. I'm gonna give you the next four and list them in order.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
not in order, so he.
All right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
So okay, we got Home. Holy cow! How is that still on the? Okay, Home, Unfriended. That commercial, it's on Pandora all the time, and I drove to Dallas with Pandora on like the whole time, and that commercial would come on, and I would turn down my radio. Anyway, sorry. So Home, Unfriended, Age of Adeline, and Paul Blart, Mall Cop 2.
I'm gonna say, what was number 2? Was that what we're doing right now?
Number 2.
This is kind of hard. It's either, I'll say Age of Adeline. No. Goodness gracious. Oh, Home.
Home. Okay. Final answer.
Yeah.
Bum bum bum. Actually, Home is number 4. Number 2 is Paul Blart Mall Cop
Wow.
2.
Paul Blart.
I wish this movie had does this movie have like a subtitle like Back on the Streets or something like that?
He's on vacation, is all I know.
Back taking a dump at the box office. Kidding.
I loved Mall Cop 1.
I liked it too,
I
but
thought it was-
there's no reason there should have been a 2.
That's true. This is I'm still waiting for.
There also shouldn't. I don't know. There shouldn't have been a grown-ups too either. But
I loved Grown Ups too. I thought it was better than 1.
No, Kevin. What's his last name? Kevin James.
I
He
think-
is so funny.
I think Joel. I think we had a nice little disagreement there. I think I see it in your face.
Hey, I don't like Adam Sandler produced comedies. Just saying. Not recently, at
Well,
least.
neither do some tribes.
Hey, did y'all hear? Did y'all hear that Adam Sandler signed a deal with Netflix?
Yeah, we
that's-
talked. Yeah,
Did we talk about that?
Yes, Hayden. We
Just
talked
weeks
about
ago.
that.
That must have been when I was like.
it was before you got engaged.
But
so-
seriously, look,
everything else is blown
everything
your-
else is new and.
It's
No,
like
okay,
a
so
new. It's like a new world, pretty much.
okay,
It's a
so
whole new world, and
so-
I think you
On
used
the
that
magic
exact
carpet.
line.
On a magic carpet. Yeah.
here's the deal with this whole Netflix produced things. I promise I won't stay on this polar bear too long. But
I don't like both.
do you guys think this
Actually,
could be a potential future for independent films, for movies that may not get the green light from studios? That now you have like Hulu and Netflix, and now even HBO, is going online and doing their own streaming stuff. Do you think that could be the future of feature films?
Yeah, I think it could be. I remember like it used to be where, well, it still is, but it's like every bad movie just goes straight to DVD because they don't bother at the box office. But with indie films, there's so much for them to prove. So if you put them in the theaters, there's a lot of pressure there. But if you put them online, there's a little less pressure for them to perform well, since it's only like a one payment thing.
And here's my prediction. I don't think we'll ever see the end of the movie theater. I don't think we'll ever see the end because it's an experience.
It is.
It's like the football game.
Unless-
it's like the
unless-
baseball game.
Unless everyone owns their own home, like movie theater, not a home
but see,
theater.
for
movie
me,
theater.
so much of it of seeing a movie is the experience of seeing a movie.
Exactly.
Oh
It's
yeah.
waking up in the
The magic
morning on a
cinema.
Saturday, knowing okay, about 2:00 I'm gonna go see a movie. I'm excited all day long.
Exactly.
When the music comes up and you hear the THX.
Yeah, could
quality.
you imagine? Could you imagine it like for a movie like Star Wars, like the whole day you're like, tonight I'm gonna see Star Wars in the movie theater.
Oh, I can remember that feeling.
But like now I wouldn't feel the same way if like, yeah, I'm gonna go home and watch the Force
I'm gonna,
Awakens.
I'm gonna
by
stream it
myself.
live tonight by myself.
Yeah,
Exactly.
There's nothing like going to the cinema with a large group of people, and with movies, I feel like there's always going to be a place for that in the theater. So, Hayden, you got off for your polar bear.
I
So
did.
let's
My
keep-
polar bear was way off in the ocean on that one.
So let's
Okay,
keep
so we
moving.
got Furious 7 is 1.
Paul Blart 2.
Paul Blart 2 is
Number
2.
3 is going to be Age of Adeline.
That's right. Ding, ding, ding. And then number 5.
Number 5 is Obby, as they say.
It's what?
I've honestly
Obvi.
never heard that.
Poppy?
I like
Obvi.
it, though. It's very
I-
sorority girl-ish
I
of
heard.
you.
I actually heard a sorority girl use it the other day, so I was like, I gotta use that sometime.
That is so obby, girl. Come on.
That's totes. Okay, what are some other like
I
sorority
can't
girls?
even.
I can't even. Totes.
Totes, Obby.
Let's get some
Adorbs.
Starbucks. Starbucks, anything.
That's
Starbucks?
on fleek. Is that one of their things?
I think that is. Yeah, I mean, my friends say that all the time.
Gosh,
I don't
guys,
even
where
know.
are we going as a society?
Our nation is anyway. Okay.
There's always been sororities and fraternities.
No. I'm saying the English language.
Oh, the
is-
English language is being
has,
butchered. Yeah,
has
yeah.
deteriorated.
It's being
um,
butchered sometimes.
Okay, so yeah, Unfriended is number 5. And by the way, that movie is so scary. I'm not even gonna watch it.
It looks scary.
I
don't wanna
I'm
unfriend
kinda,
no one.
I'm kind of want to see it because it's like it all takes place in the screen. It all takes place in the computer screen. How does that scare you? I want to see how that
It's
can
so
scare
low
me.
budget. I feel like that's all horror films are. Like, how can we make this movie
they're getting-
super cheap
But
and
they're
make a
getting,
bunch of movies?
but they're getting so much more better in content and quality, and I think it started years ago. But you know, quality in horror movies kind of improving. It's not all like, hey, let's reboot this one, let's reboot that. They're all original ideas, which is great, which I can appreciate. I can appreciate that. So let's move on, and we have some cool stuff coming out this summer. Since we're not going to be here very often, well, not often, that much at all. Let's talk some future movies coming out in the theaters. I really like to do this because it gives us an opinion of what we want to see and when we plan to see it. So I'm just going to run through down this list that I made for just some movies.
Joel,
that
give
are
us the
out there.
rundown. Start at number 5 though.
It's not a top 5. It's just like this is movie names that you could look just for our listeners. And
If you
viewers.
had
Go
to
look
make
out for
it,
these
if you had to
movies.
make it a top 5 though, who would be number 5? What's the least anticipated of the top 5?
Pitch Perfect 2.
Okay.
Which means doesn't mean I'm not excited for it. It's just the least out of my top 5. Next would probably be Mad Max.
Okay.
May 16th, right? I believe it's
Man, that movie is so saturated.
And then
George Miller.
yeah, and then after that would be Jurassic World.
Bum 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 bum.
And you know, this next one I did get the chance to see it, but it's still one that, you know, it's pretty common. And Hayden,
every
cover your
segment.
ears, cover your ears, cover your
Every
ears.
segment.
Cover your
I'm
ears.
not listening.
Okay, The Age of Ultron.
There it is.
Okay, I'm just gonna move past that one because number 1 for me is Tomorrowland. I
Really?
think that one's the most thing
Yeah.
you look forward to because it's so rare to get quality movies.
Now, I
that
have
are
not even
possibly Oscar.
I've
movie.
not even watched the commercial,
Don't
the
watch
trailer.
it. Don't watch it. And just go into the movie and watch it fresh because it's
I
so
will.
much better. It's
I
so much
will.
better.
I'll do that. I'll do that.
It's
Okay.
so much better for you though. So that's basically a run through of what I'm looking forward to in the summer and what everyone should be looking forward to. But guys, when we come back, we're gonna be talking best directors. Are you guys excited?
Super.
Boom, boom, boom. I'm pumped.
Are you totes excited?
This is
I'm
our
totes
last.
excited.
Guys,
Yeah,
this is
it's
our
last
last
segment.
Let's go with
last-
fire. Let's go with fire.
Let's go with a bang.
Guys, you are listening to the amped up, motivated, perfectly situated, highly anticipated Real Talk. And thank you for riding with us one last time. On
Wow, we
our,
are.
on our good radio
Yes,
spaceship.
but we will be back, guys. We will return. It'll be a matter of time. And when we come back,
Like Superman, we will
and
return.
when we come back, it's going to be FM, correct?
That is right. On
That's the plan.
95.5.
Big time.
I believe it's going to be called, I won't say it yet. It's not official.
But we will be on
we
radio.
will be on radio.
It
We'll
is.
be on
It is.
FM
We are planning to
frequency.
be on radio. So for those of you who can't listen to us online, you can still listen to us on radio in the Norman area. So get excited for that. But guys, let's finish off this show with a bang.
The
Come
bang.
on, let's give me a bang. Someone give me a fist bump. Fist bump, bro. Come on.
Explode
All right, guys.
that bad boy.
So, top 5 favorite movie directors of all time. Which way are we going to do this, guys? Who's going to go first?
I think we should do something really tricky right here.
Okay.
Middleman goes first.
Oh. Okay, here we go. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Hey, where's
All
my
right,
pen?
number
I need a
5.
pen.
Number 5, Mel Gibson. I know he's kind of a dark horse in this race, but I really think, he's made some really good films. You've got Braveheart, Passion of the Christ.
He directed Braveheart.
He did. He did.
Yes.
That was his kind of not his directing. He also did, I think, A Man Without a Face.
Mhm.
But that Braveheart was like his first big film as a director. I think he's one of those guys who he's really perfected the art of acting in and directing a
his own film too, especially.
And those are some of the coolest shots from Braveheart production, where he's in the kilt, in the makeup, looking through a viewfinder, sitting in the director's chair. It's kind of cool.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think just because of the uniqueness and the excellence that he's had,
Excellence.
I'm gonna go with Mel Gibson at number 5.
That was a great pick. I didn't even think about putting Mel Gibson in there, and I can honestly say almost all movies he's directed I love.
Yeah, I mean, he's not made a bad film. I mean, he hasn't made a lot of films.
But he's made some big ones.
Exactly.
Think about it.
I mean,
Braveheart, Passion of the Christ was huge.
I think Apocalypto was probably the
Apocalypto.
least popular of his.
And honestly, it's an epic in its own way. It's just
I've
that
never
it
seen
didn't
it,
get
but
the
I've
marketing.
heard it's
I've seen
pretty
it.
epic.
It's just
It's intense. It's pretty intense. I
Joel,
think.
who do you have at number 5?
Number 5, I'm gonna go with a really good one that I feel like has made a landmark amongst film in general, not just on the camera, but producing as well. And his name is Quentin Tarantino. Man, this guy has a resume that you cannot beat. Kill Bill, Pulp Fiction, Django Unchained, The Hateful Eight coming soon. This guy has a resume that builds and builds and builds, and he's got a style that you just can't compete with. It's Tarantino, man.
I love Tarantino
It's
movies.
Tarantino.
Like I said, I grew like when Lynn was on earlier, we talked about how I grew up with him.
And
his style is it's unique. It's very Tarantino.
And like I said, it's not for everybody, but
no,
I still love his style amongst everything else. It's so different. His scripts are so tightly written, and I hear like trying out for his movies is, it's pretty stressful, and it should be, because Quentin Tarantino has a reputation, and not just as a director but as a producer. He does a lot of projects with Robert Rodriguez as well. Both of them work on some movies together. And he does some producing for some of his movies as well. So he has a voice amongst directors and producers. And this guy, if he wants to make a movie tomorrow, studios are behind it. That's the kind of power that Quentin Tarantino has, and that's my number 5.
Gatlin, where are you sitting at number 5?
My number 5 favorite director is very current, and you all probably love his stuff. He's probably maybe in a few of y'all's top 5. Christopher Nolan.
Oh man, that's
anything that guy does, it turns into gold pretty much when he directs. I mean, it doesn't matter his story, where he writes screenwrites, produces, whatever he does to a story. It's phenomenal.
I know it's got the ambition. Like
well, I know when I see his name on something, I automatically am interested.
Well, his very first thing that was popular was Memento, and that was actually the very first Christopher Nolan thing I ever saw. And I was like, wow, this guy is very cerebral. You got to think about his movies. And that's what I love about it. Because a lot of movies, they don't make you think. And I love movies that make you think. And his stories always develop, and they always go into somewhere where you never anticipated it to go. And they did it with the Batman series, all those movies, Inception, Interstellar. I mean, I could go on for days.
And if anybody's looking for a possible TV show to pick up, Gatlin and I, along with our friend Vincent, also wrote a TV show known as Memento. So anybody want to pick that up, you can hit us up.
Memento's with an E at the
I
end.
believe it is the Thomas Fastball 92 at
93.
93 at
Right
MySpace.com.
Kidding.
All right, Hayden. Who is your 4th?
Okay, number 4.
director?
I'm gonna go with Ron Howard. He's directed my
That's
favorite
nice.
film of all time. I haven't seen a ton of his work, but I love Cinderella Man. So
Apollo, man.
I can't believe I love Apollo 13. I mean, it's really groundbreaking what he did. I really love.
He was
just like
really
his stuff.
high in the 90s. Like, that's his work
Well,
amongst the 90s. And today, too, he
And the
has a
thing is,
reputation.
He does historic films really well. I mean,
Mhm.
Apollo 13 is just so period, and Cinderella Man feels like you're in the 1930s. I think he does a great job of doing biopics.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, Ron Howard, we kind of joke around a couple times about we know somebody who looks like him, but it's great. It's great, though. Ron Howard in general, I think that he has a fantastic...
Wait, you're
resume.
telling me
That's
he's
not Ron Howard?
You telling me he's not my AVP professor next semester?
Wait, what?
That's not Ron
That's
Howard.
the only reason I came to Gaylord. Like, anyway,
It's all right, Hayden. It's all right. We all get discouraged sometimes.
Joel,
But
number
let me go
4.
ahead and move on to my number 4 of all time. Next, I have on my list is blank, but I can read it off the top of my head, and his name is Christopher Nolan. Gatlin touched on him earlier. I mean, what he did with the Batman series, definitely unforgettable, but he's had a lot of other movies out there, including, of course, Memento, Insomnia, Inception, even Interstellar, his recent work. Although the writing of it was not up to standard, that's not his field. The vision, the visual effects of it, he is an innovator with the technology, innovator as a filmmaker. He always has a respect for the magic of filming in real film.
Yes, exactly.
Which is something I really love. And
he's one of the few
something
left.
that's really rare to find. It's getting rare to find, but I really adore a lot of his movies and his ambition as well. He keeps moving forward as well, and it's unfortunate he's not doing any more directing for the DC universe. But hey, you get what you get, and he did a wonderful job with the Batman series. So that's my number 4.
Well, it's hard for me to even want to like mention anyone else here, because I feel like if I say this person's name, you got to include this person, and you also got to include this person because they all came from USC. It's around the same time, the film school, right there. But my number 4 is Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
I love anything Spielberg's done. I mean, Schindler's List is something that a lot of people don't even think about when they think. I mean, some people do. Real true movie lovers know that he did that. But a lot of people think Jurassic Park. A lot of them think Jaws. A lot of them think Indiana Jones, And to me, if a guy who he always got runner-up every year at the Oscars. He never could win. And then he had Schindler's List. That happened.
Yeah.
That changed the game, how people respected him. I can't hardly name a Spielberg movie I don't like.
It's hard, man.
And I haven't read a lot about Spielberg. From everything I can tell, he's actually pretty easy to work with, too.
Oh,
he's not
they
a
love
punk.
working with him.
I love watching his interviews because he's always smiling, he's always laughing, he's always super nice. It's unlike some of these other kind of directors who seem entitled, kind of seem like they'd be hard to work with. I watched an interview with him, like, yeah,
you enjoy
that'd
it.
be so. I like not because he's Steven Spielberg, but just because he seems like a nice guy. I'd like to work with him.
How many people can go from making Jaws to making E.T. to making Indiana Jones
to Schindler's List?
Yeah. And then Jurassic Park.
To Lincoln, too.
And Lincoln.
Oh, Lincoln's great. I
Yes.
forgot he.
That's like the most recent. Like Lincoln.
It's a strength, man. He can do anything.
The guy.
He's talented.
And he casts good people.
Yeah. And he always, if his name's on it, if each of Spielberg's name on anything,
sells.
yeah.
I heard Warhorse was not actually that bad of a film.
I've heard it's really good too. I never watched it yet. I still probably should watch
He
it.
tells stories better than I think almost any
Most
director
anybody
can.
does. Yes, I agree 100%.
And before we move on to Gatlin, like I said, Spielberg's definitely amongst one of the best. But I was gonna make an honorable mention to Stanley Kubrick because I really wanted to put him on my list. That's why I was hesitating on number 4 because
Is it Stanley? It's like is he related to Bradley Cooper or Stanley?
No,
Stanley
I've
Kubrick. You never heard of Stanley Kubrick?
No.
You disappoint me.
No. What's he directed?
Are you serious? Are you
2001:
The
A
Shining?
Space Odyssey.
The Shining.
Shining.
Clockwork Orange.
Here's John.
Oh, see, that's
Doctor
why.
Strangelove.
See, that's
He's
why.
one of the best of all
That's
time.
why I've never seen a Clockwork
But
Orange.
I'm just
They
throwing
said
it
he's
out.
one of the most craziest directors ever. He'd take 100 takes of one take or one scene. 100 takes.
That's ambition, man. But
How have I
Gatlin,
never heard
before
of
we
this
get
guy?
off track,
I just did. That was my 4th. I said Spielberg.
That was your 4th? Oh, I'm bad. I spoiled
Ryan
it.
Williams. Right.
That's my
No.
That's
Okay.
different. I actually listed a fact.
Number three for me. I'm gonna go George Lucas. Number 3.
Oh, really? George Lucas.
I just because of Star Wars. That's the only reason I like George Lucas. And thanks George for Star Wars. That's it. That's all I gotta say.
Okay. I mean, George Lucas definitely contributed a lot to Star Wars. I mean, he was there from the beginning. So, a lot of his ideas definitely turned into the craziness it is today. And, even not just Star Wars. I think American Graffiti was also one of his best work.
Early on, he did some really good stuff, and
Yeah,
he
he did some-
contributed to Indiana Jones too. I mean,
him and Spielberg they've been buddies since college.
Yeah, and they were both working on Indiana Jones. Although Lucas never directed Indiana Jones or any of them, he contributed a lot to the story because he's the one that
He's a great writer.
He's the one that wanted to see what we're doing. He also was one of the reasons why Francis Ford Coppola, decided to do Godfather.
And people forget that he wrote Star Wars. That's kind of like people overlook the fact that he wrote that film. I mean, and it's anyway. That's all I gotta say. I love.
It's his baby.
He did that is if that's all he's done, and that's basically, in my opinion, all he's done. That's really awesome.
Indiana Jones is also his idea.
Exactly. Yeah. So those two things. Thanks, George. Joel, what you got? Number 3.
All right, number 3, and I was gonna toss it right over here to Francis Ford Coppola.
Transition.
And like transitions perfectly. The man has done so many fantastic movies. The Godfather series, Apocalypse Now. Wow, this guy's so. He's still doing things out there too. He's still visiting a lot of universities, still talking to a lot of new students, trying to find ambition towards a lot of people. But man, his vision for movies, The Godfather itself, is just one of the biggest and best like film franchises of all time. And I know near the end it didn't it didn't stay the same, but you can't deny Francis Ford Coppola as being one of the most inspirational directors of all time. There's so many inspirations out there that like Christopher Nolan probably finds Coppola as an inspiration. There's a lot of young awesome filmmakers out there who look to him as an inspiration, and he's touching every single generation as an inspiration, which is pretty cool. And Francis Ford Coppola is my number 3.
Number 3. Okay, so Gatlin.
Well, Joel just stole the words right out of my mouth. Francis Ford Coppola is my number 3. Godfather is, as we talked about very first episode,
classic.
My favorite movie. So, or it was my number 2 actually. But I'm words can't explain how, I don't know, I fell in love with the idea of movie making while watching The Godfather and seeing the cinematography and everything that Coppola decided on and things that he chose. And Apocalypse Now is another one I didn't appreciate till later on in life when I got older. And the thing I think is really cool is that right now he's workshopping a film based off of his last story right now here at OCCC in May. He's workshopping it right now to make it better, make the script better. And that's here in Oklahoma. We have one of the greatest directors in the history of film.
Right in our front lawn.
Right back here. And to me, that's awesome. I got to go to his winery this summer in Napa Valley. It's probably the best. I went to like 16 different wineries. That place was classical. To me, it smelled the essence of Coppola. You just go in there, you're like, this is exactly how Francis Ford Coppola.
And I've known so many people in like the past couple months have like met him, and I'm just like, can I meet him next, please? It feels like everybody and their mother have met Coppola.
And everyone's reaction is it's like they're walking on it's like they've met Jesus himself. That's how they act. But then they go, but he's just down to earth. He's really he'll just talk to you like a normal human being. You don't get that from a lot of people. So to me, I think it's another cool
and
thing.
You're like shaking hands with the guy who directed The Godfather. Come on,
he's still alive.
Crazy. That's crazy.
But he's my number 3, Francis Ford Coppola. Who is your number 2, Hayden?
All right, kind of like my man George Lucas. This guy directed one of the greatest trilogies of all time. I'm not crazy about his other stuff, but because of this trilogy, Peter Jackson.
Lord of the Rings.
Before we mention a little bit more, the cinematographer for Lord of the Rings has passed away just this morning. So,
I saw that.
So I just wanted to throw that off. It wasn't in my news. I thought I wrote it on there, but definitely one of the saddest news to take away. But I'm sorry, Hayden, for throwing that there, but it's definitely a huge it contributes a lot to Peter Jackson's success.
Definitely. I remember growing up watching like every single special feature for the Lord of the Rings, and I think that's really where all the love of cinema and making film and all that. I think that's kind of where that all started. I love the way the idea of shooting a film for multiple years. I think they shot for 18 months for all 3 films. Like the idea of that blows my mind. And talking about getting 3 hours of sleep a night for 3 or 4 months in a row. I just the level of commitment. And everybody says he is one of the greatest guys to work with in terms of being nice to actors and not just actors but all the crew and set designers and craft services and all that. He's just a nice guy to work with. So Peter Jackson.
Hey, he also did King Kong.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about that.
I like King Kong actually. I liked it.
Jack Black liked King Kong.
There's a new one coming out.
Gave him a job.
There's a new one coming out soon, so it'll be interesting. All right, we're number 2, correct?
We're number 2.
Number 2. All right. So we moved from one inspiration as a filmmaker to another. This guy, like we talked about earlier, Lynn, who called in, mentioned it as well, Hitchcock. Hitchcock is the master of suspense. That's his nickname. His movies carry such a tremendous amount of detail. And the way he stylizes every movie is so different. And if you've ever seen the trailer, I think there was this video of him basically explaining the storyline of Psycho, walking in the house explaining it, and you know everything. But when you watch the movie, you're still creeped out. You're still scared from the movie. And like Hayden mentioned earlier, Rear Window, that was my first exposure to Hitchcock, and I thought, and that was one of the moments where I was I grew a new appreciation for classic films. from then on, I was able to watch a lot more classic movies and appreciate it more because of Hitchcock. And he really was an inspiration to a lot of people today, as far as horror and suspense goes. Because in his horror movies, they're not like today's or even like the 80s or 90s horror movies. They're more suspense. They're more based off real events or real people. Like most of his movies, the most extreme is psychos. That's it. They're just psychos, but they're humans as well. So that's something really interesting, and I always appreciated that from Hitchcock, is that he always drew it back to basically man being the worst monster out there.
Gatlin, number
Hitchcock,
2.
man.
I almost put him in. I wanted to, but I had so many directors I love.
Oh, it's hard,
So
man.
he's
It's
number
hard.
6. But my number 2 is one that none of y'all probably saw coming. Total opposite of Hitchcock, Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks,
Mel
yeah.
Brooks.
Wow.
Everything I've ever watched Mel Brooks besides, I think, is this movie called Silent Movie. Not very good. Don't watch it. It is actually a silent movie. Comedy. Like, I couldn't live.
Parody.
I could not have lived my life without. Like without that humor, the Mel Brooks humor that he brought to cinema. And Blazing Saddles, as y'all know, was already in my top 5 movie of all time. And Mel Brooks, he's a very underappreciated from our generation. I think his generation appreciates him for what he did, but he's very underappreciated. Words can't explain how much movies that he made. Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, The Producers. I could just go on and on. A History of the World Part 1, Robin Hood Men in Tights, Spaceballs. The guy's master of parody. The guy's master of parody, but Mel Brooks, number 2. Go watch all his films.
Hey, I appreciate a lot of comedy touch, especially with all these serious filmmakers. You know, you kind of need a good laugh from a good director, and I feel like Mel Brooks definitely established a lot of parodies.
All right, number 1, guys. Number 1.
Hayden's
time.
first.
Hayden, number 1.
All right, guys. For my number 1, I wanted to pick a director that has meant a lot to me. That his work has meant a lot to me, and somebody I think that gets some attention but doesn't get as much as he deserves is Ken Burns. I think what he has done for the genre of documentary filmmaking cannot be overstated. He has made documentaries from he's taken it from a CBS 9 o'clock prime time or a History Channel thing to a feature film, to a mini series, to something that you can sit down with your family and legitimately watch and watch a story unfold. Civil War, I think, is one of the greatest films, period. Greatest miniseries made, period. Lewis and Clark, absolutely incredible. Just his work. Baseball. I love baseball. How great is baseball?
It's phenomenal.
His art of the interview. He doesn't use a lot of B-roll. You never see somebody walking around a museum or
it's archive.
It's a guy in front of a camera, and it's the Ken Burns effect on some photos, and you're. And your
stories told to you.
And never once when you're watching like a Civil War, never once do you realize, holy cow, all I've been watching this whole time are talking heads and pictures. You feel like you're watching a film, like a acted out, scene by scene film, and that's what I love about.
And I think Ken Burns, he opened the doors a lot for documentary filmmaking.
But let's quickly move by our number 1s. My number 1, we touched on him earlier, Steven Spielberg. He's the man. Like I said, he does every genre. He can do anything. He's done horror movies like Jaws. He's done space adventures. He's done Indiana Jones. He's done Lincoln historical movies too, like we mentioned earlier. I mean, the guy has a resume like no other, and like you said, his name. You put his name on anything, it'll make money. Like the first Transformers, when I saw produced by Steven Spielberg, I was like, what?
Scared money don't make money, but
exactly.
Steven Spielberg does.
Steven Spielberg is definitely one of the best of all time. But Gatlin, give us your number 1.
All right, number 1, John Ford.
Wow, I like it, dude.
Western. He created all. He made John Wayne into the superstar John Wayne is, and the guy. There should be a book there should be a book or even a movie made about John Ford's life, because the guy served in World War II after he had made Stagecoach, after he made The Grapes of Wrath. The guy made these are huge movies for their time, and then he goes later on to make The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. The Searchers, probably the greatest Western of all time. And then he'd also go outside his realm and make other movies like Donovan's Reef, things like that. John Ford, he was a colonel director. They said he'd cuss out John Wayne and belittle him, and people couldn't believe John Wayne would take that. But they said if you wanted to make a great movie with a real artist, but a guy you didn't think was an artist, John Ford was the man. So go check out all those old
How
westerns.
great is The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance?
It's a phenomenal film. Got two of my favorite actors in it of all time.
Oh, unbelievable film.
Man,
I can't even
And
say
he took it as that's a short story, and he switched the whole story to make it better.
And the thing is like he has those. When I think John Ford, I think of those iconic shots of the Badlands. It's the Badlands, right?
Yeah.
With the
or it's a Monument Valley.
Yeah, Monument Valley. I mean, when I think John Ford, I think Stagecoach.
Hey guys, Joe from Real Talk here, and I'm sorry for the interruption on our recording at this point. We were unfortunately cut off from our recording software, and we weren't able to save the rest of the episode. But you did hear our top 5 directors of all time, and we hope you enjoyed it. We hope that you enjoyed Chris, visiting our set as well. You hope you enjoyed the episode entirely. Although it was our final episode of the semester, we still have more episodes planned out. They're just not going to be live like in this situation in this studio here. We're going to make some episodes over the summer just to keep you guys informed and updated because there's huge movies coming out, so we don't want to miss out on that. Also, guys, please check out the rest of our YouTube page. We have plenty of content out there, including trailer reviews, movie reviews, and speculation of a lot of different things. So, guys, thank you for listening. This is Joel from Real Talk. Go watch some movies.
E.T.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.